To be frank, the final list of countries was somewhat unexpected to everyone. On August 24th, the world witnessed a significant event. This is the historic expansion of the BRICS. What was originally a group of 5 BRICS countries has now absorbed 6 new members. These 6 countries are Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. All of them are important emerging nations with significant geopolitical influence. The significance of this event cannot be overstated. Firstly, the power of the BRICS has become even stronger. Although there were initially 5 BRICS countries, starting from January 1st next year, there will be 11. Moreover, they are all major players, with similar indicators in terms of total GDP, GDP growth rate, and per capita GDP. Let's take a quick look at the data. In 2001, the BRICS countries accounted for about 8% of global GDP, while the Group of 7, G7, accounted for 65%. However, now the GDP of the original BRICS 5 countries makes up 26% of the global total, while the G7 has dropped to 43%. When considering purchasing power parity, the BRICS countries have already surpassed the G7. With the addition of the new 6 BRICS members, there's no doubt that the power of the BRICS has become even stronger. In the context of a major transformation that occurs only once in a century, it is necessary for the BRICS countries to expand. This large ship effect is essential for effectively safeguarding the interests of developing countries. Therefore, it's no wonder that some Western countries are both concerned and anxious about the expansion of the BRICS. For Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy, being able to join the BRICS is a moment of great significance, as he remarked with emotion, calling it a great moment for Ethiopia. Iran also expressed its amazement, stating that this is a historic development and a strategic success for Iran's foreign policy. For these countries, this expansion is a tremendous boost to their international influence. Secondly, the charm of the BRICS is becoming more evident. Whether an organization has vitality often depends on its openness. The Western Group of 7, G7, hasn't opened its doors since Canada joined in 1976. Even if Spain is indignant and Australia is envious, sorry, neither of them qualifies. After the dissolution of the Soviet Union, G7 briefly expanded to G8 in an attempt to bring Russia closer. However, before long, Russia was kicked out and it remained G7. But the BRICS are different, they are very open. This time, it's said that 2 or 3 dozen countries are lining up to join. The 6 countries mentioned above are the fortunate ones. I can anticipate that this time there are 6 additions. And it's not ruled out that other important countries, like Indonesia, Venezuela, Mexico, Nigeria, and so on, will join the BRICS in the future. This fully illustrates the charm and vitality of the BRICS. South African President Ramaphosa stated, "This signifies the continuously growing importance, status, and influence of the BRICS family of nations." Thirdly, this will bring far-reaching impacts to the global landscape. This is the most important aspect, and it's what countries value the most. To be frank, the world is not fair and just. From China's perspective, as China develops, we have resolved the issues of poverty and being bullied. However, the problem of being targeted, accused, and berated by Western countries has not been fundamentally resolved. Over the past few years, we've witnessed extreme suppression from the West. For many developing countries, the problems that China has encountered or is currently facing have not been resolved for them. What can be done? The attention of many countries has turned to the BRICS. Why do so many countries hope to join the BRICS? It's because these countries see hope in the BRICS countries and feel that they have finally found an organization. A South African BRICS envoy explained, being continually marginalized has left many developing countries feeling frustrated. This has driven them to turn to the BRICS group because the latter is striving to create a multipolar and more inclusive world. Even India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar recently remarked, BRICS is no longer an alternative, but a well-established feature on the global stage. The significance of the reforms represented by the BRICS countries is bound to spread across the world of multilateralism. Many developing countries see hope for their own national development in countries like China. China used to be very poor and was also bullied by the West. However, now China has stood up and become prosperous. If China can achieve this, why can't other countries? Now, with the expansion of the BRICS, there's no doubt that this will enhance the voice of developing countries and bring about significant and far-reaching impacts on the global governance system and structure. In the past, the world looked to the face of the Western Group of Seven, G7, but now, more people are listening to the voice of the BRICS. Using the words of Chinese leaders, this expansion is also a new starting point for BRICS cooperation. It will inject new vitality into the BRICS cooperation mechanism and further strengthen the power of world peace and development. Of course, any coin has two sides. Expansion will inevitably bring some new challenges, such as an increase in negotiation costs, a decrease in efficiency, and even the possibility of major issues that might not gain unanimous consent. But that's all right, after all, it's still the BRICS. Even Saudi Arabia and Iran, once on the brink of confrontation, managed to achieve a historic reconciliation under China's mediation. Even though India's attitude towards China is complex, India will sooner or later realize that China is a friend, not an enemy. Have more friends and fewer enemies. This is China's wisdom, and it's also the wisdom of the BRICS. In fact, the so-called BRICS countries might be seen as a contrived group because the member countries hardly share any commonalities. They represent different types of human civilizations and political systems, are geographically scattered across 4 continents, and economically, China could be described as dominant. However, what truly brings the BRICS countries together is their desire for a more just world order and greater voice for developing nations. The BRICS countries have already demonstrated remarkable resilience and sustained momentum for development. Interestingly, the BRICS countries haven't become a platform for opposing the West. Instead, it has evolved into a platform that helps member nations seek intellectual freedom and autonomous action. It has also become a knowledge center for promoting international discussions and dialogues beyond Western-dominated domains. Currently, the 15th BRICS Summit is taking place in Johannesburg, South Africa. This happens to coincide with the Ukraine crisis becoming a global priority. When conflicts require resolution through negotiations, BRICS member countries are the most likely mediators. In recent years, the BRICS countries have been highly active in the environmental field, leading the world in green development. China accounts for 60 to 80% of the world's solar energy, wind energy, hydropower, electric vehicles, and high-speed rail capacity. Under the leadership of President Lula, Brazil is at the forefront of protecting the Amazon rainforest. Within just 6 months of taking office, Brazil's deforestation rate dropped to the lowest level in 7 years. India is poised to become the world's second-largest solar power producer after China, and it's gradually rolling out its green development plans. Recently, Indian Prime Minister Modi proposed establishing a working mechanism for global green railway development among the BRICS countries. Richard Haass, president of the Council on Foreign Relations, in reviewing U.S. foreign policy after the Cold War, stated that America's diplomacy had been squandered because the U.S. had been focused solely on dominating the world, while remaining insensitive to other issues and concerns of other nations. No matter what challenges and conflicts the 21st century world will face, one thing is certain: these issues must be resolved through multilateral cooperation among different countries within a multipolar context. The BRICS countries will play a key role in this framework. The current era calls for dialogue and respect. Let us respect each other and seek consensus through dialogue. The above are just internet views and do not represent the position of this channel. What are your views? We sincerely look forward to seeing your comments. If you like this channel, remember to like and follow it. Thank you for your support.